Hello and welcome to Web Series. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to build a website from scratch with HTML5. I'm going to be showing you 4 step-by-step processes with which you can use to build a website from scratch. Now, I know you must have seen so many websites and you probably might be thinking, how did these people get to build this? And deep inside of you, you want to learn how to build it. Well, today I'm going to give you these 4 steps. And by the end of this class, by the time you follow through with these 4 steps, you are going to be building your own website. Now, the first thing you need to understand, that's the first step, is understanding the concepts of HTML. Now, for everything you want to study, everything you want to know, the first thing you need to do is to get complete insight of that thing. You want to study about HTML, then you need to understand the concept. You need to understand what HTML is all about. Now we are dealing with HTML5. So what is HTML5? HTML5 is simply the 5th version of HTML, which means there are other versions of HTML that have come and gone. Alright, so all these versions of HTML are still classified as HTML. Now, what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Hypertext Markup Language. It is a web language that every website must have. That means every website you see, whether an ordinary website or whether a web app, whatever the website is, they all have HTML. So you see that HTML is very, very vital. So having known that about HTML, the next thing you need to know is to understand the concept of HTML tags and elements and how to use them. So looking at it, HTML is made up of tags and elements. So when you know how to use or apply these tags and elements, you become very good in building sites with HTML or writing HTML code. Now, every HTML tag are of 2 types, the opening tag and the closing tag, which simply means whatever tag you open, you must close. So there are several types of tags. We have the paragraph tag, we have the table tag, the form tag, the link tag, and so on and so forth. There are several tags. Now, but the bottom line is whenever you open one, you have to close it. However, there are some tags that you don't need to close them, like the break tag, you don't need to close it. Just like that, the horizontal rule, you don't need to close them. But apart from these and other tags that you don't need to close, every tag you open, you close it. Now, when you look at these tags, you got to see something like greater than and less than, just the way you see it in mathematics. And then you will see some write-ups in between the greater than and less than, like in this tutorial, what you are seeing on your screen now. You are seeing a P inside a greater than and a less than and symbol, right? That P in between it is called the elements. So every HTML tag has an element in between the greater than and the less than sign. And then if you look at it very well now, you will see that there is a closing tag. The closing tag is the tag that has the forward slash before the element inside of it. So it is your ability to apply the HTML tags properly and knowing the different types of HTML tags that helps you to become a good web developer or website designer using HTML5. Now, I want you to understand something, that every HTML tag stands for a purpose. For example, I made mention of the table tag. It is used to create table. The paragraph tag, it is used to write what? Paragraph. You will have the underline tag. It is used to put to underline whatever you wrote. You have the form tag. It is used to create what? HTML form. So you see, every tag has its own purpose. Step 3 is to understand HTML structure. Understand HTML structure and their purposes. Now, if you take note of the step 3, you will discover that I included and their purposes. Now, when you look at your screen, you are going to see the HTML structure that I have already outlined right there. So, the first one you see there is doctype HTML. Now, what does doctype HTML do? It defines the HTML document, just like I have stated there. Now, what does it mean to define the HTML document? It means that it is telling the computer that this is an HTML document. So the next one you see there is the HTML tag, which signifies the beginning of HTML document. It signifies that, okay, we have started um, um, building HTML document. So after that, the next thing you look at is the head tag. Now this is where we enter our meta informations, CSS links, JavaScript, and so on and so forth. Now in the course of this tutorial, you are going to see the so many things that we write or we code there in the head section of the HTML structure. Then another thing you find in the head section of the HTML structure is the title. Now, the title describes the current page of every website, or you can say the pages of every website. So, if you are in the home page, the title should be home page depending on the developer. If you are in the contact page, the title should be contact page. If you are in the about us page, the title should be about us page. So the title of the title there in the HTML structure describe every current page for users. Now, so these are some of the things that you find in the head section of the HTML structure. Then after that is the body section. Now, the body section of the HTML structure is where you get to write all the codes that you need to build your website from scratch to finish. Now, if you notice, the body section has the opening tag and the closing tag. So in between is where we write all our code. Now, if you look at it very well, look at the structure, you discover that the HTML tag we open, we eventually close it in the end. Now, the only tag we didn't close there is the doctype HTML. Remember, I told you that there are some tags that we don't get to close, but aside from that, every other tag you get to close them. So in the course of this tutorial, these classes that we'll be having, you are going to be finding out more reasons why there are some tags that you don't get to close. Now, looking at this HTML structure, there's something you must understand, that every website or every web app that you see online possesses this structure. No matter how advanced the app tend to be, they must possess this structure. Doctype HTML, the head, the title, and the body section, they must possess it. The only thing, the differences will be what they carry, the codes they carry. Yes, two designers must not have the same code because they all think differently. So their code does not have to be the same, but the structure must be the same. So having known the HTML structure, which is the step 3, step 4, which is the most important, I always keep the most important for the last, is to apply these 3 steps that I have taught you so far, and then this is where we get to write our code to build our first website from scratch. Let's get straight to action. So right now we are going to use everything we learned in the previous class. which is 5 things you need to know to build a website from scratch. So we said one of the things you'll be needing is to create a folder. So now that we want to start, the first thing you need to do when you want to build your website from scratch is to build a folder. So we are going to create our first folder. We are on the desktop already. So I'm going to right click. After right clicking, I'll go to new, and then there's folder there. I will select folder. So having done that, I'm going to call this folder practical, because we are doing practical right now. So I'm calling this folder practical. So now I've named the folder. So remember I said name your folder according to the project we are working on. So right now we are doing practicals, so I call the folder practicals. So the next thing I will do is to go to my notepad. Remember I said one of the things you need to know before building a website is to have a notepad. So right here we are using Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to click on my Visual Studio Code, and then this is the Visual Studio Code environment. And then to start a new project, I'm going to click Ctrl N to start a new project. So having done that, this is how the interface to start a new project looks like. So the next thing I'm going to do is to write my HTML structure. Remember I told you every website carries the same HTML structure. So I've already written it somewhere. In order not to take too much of our time, I'm going to copy and paste it. So I'm going to copy and paste it from here, and then I'm pasting it in our current page. So I'm going to paste it here. So we have our doc type HTML, our head, and the rest. So now I am going to put in the title here. I'll call the title home page. I'll call it home page. Now this is the home page of our website that we are currently building. Now what is the home page? The home page of the website is the first page of every website. So when you hear the word home page, just know that is the first page of the website. So when you click on any website, the first page the website displays is called the home page. Now when you are writing your code and you want to save it, you save it as index page. Now you save it as what? Indexed page. Now the reason you save it as index page is so that your web browser can always pick out that page as your home page. Now but when you don't save it as index page, the browser will be confused on which page to select as first page or not. So now I'm going to explain details about the home page or the index page in subsequent tutorials that we are going to be having. So right now our title there is saying home page. So that's the only thing we are going to put in the head section for this class today. So after doing that, the next thing we are going to do is to save our project. Remember we said every code we write, we have to save it in the folder we created. So I'm going to say Ctrl S. I'm going to say Ctrl S to save it, and then I will go to my desktop and select the folder that I created. This is practical, so I'm going to open it, and then I will call this page index page. Right here in the file name, I'm going to call it index.html. See, I'm putting the HTML extension there, telling it that yes, I'm working on HTML. So I'm saving it right now. So now that I've saved it, our file has now been saved in that folder. So I'm going to minimize this and go straight to our folder so that you see how it is. So this is the folder. It has been saved inside. Look at it. It is our index file. So this is the first file the web browser is going to be displaying every time any user displays and searches our website. So now I'm going back to my Visual Studio Code. Now that we've done that, now we said that the body section is where we write all our codes. So we are going to be writing our first code right here. Now it's going to be a very simple website. Yeah, a very simple website. So here we are going to apply our HTML tag. So the first HTML tag I'm going to apply here is the paragraph tag. So I'm opening the paragraph tag. It's called P, is the paragraph tag. Now it's used to give write-ups. You use paragraph tag for what? For write-ups. So what am I going to say? I'm going to write our first website. I'm going to type our first website, then I will close the tag. Remember we said you use a / P, and then we have closed our tag. So I'm going to save it now. Whatever code you write, you have to save it for it to be applied. So I am going to save it by pressing Ctrl S. Automatically it has been saved. So now after you saved it, to view what you've done so far, you have to go to your web browser. Remember in our previous class I said the web browser is used to view every code that we wrote or we write, to see how it looks like. So we have saved it, and now we are going to go to our web browser. To view what we've done, you go to your folder that you created. Now you see why the folder is important, right? So you go straight to the folder, open the folder, and then you can see what we saved there. Right click on it, and then you can just double click on it. No need to right click, just double click on it, and then the web browser will display what we have done so far. So the web browser is taking time to load. We just have to wait for it to load. It's taking some time, and boom, it has displayed. So you can see this is our first website we just created. So it's saying our first website. So we are just getting started. So I'm going to play a little bit with the site. Let's do one or two. I'm going back to my Visual Studio Code. I'm going to apply one or two tags right here. So the next thing we are going to do is to apply our underline. I want to make this to be, I want to underline this, our first website. I'm going to bring in another tag in between, and I will say U. U means the underline tag, and I will close it /U. So automatically it has closed, and I have made it to be underlined. So I'm going to save it and go back to my web browser to check. Now for me to check it, I have to refresh it over here. So I just refresh it. You can see that our first website has been underlined. So let me add one more. I'm going to add another tag. This time around, I'm going to give us the header tag. The header tag, that is H1. Now, the header tag is of 5 types. We have H1, H2, H3, H4, and H5. H5, right? So the smaller the tag, the higher and bolder it is. For example, this is H1, right? Good. I'm going to give you an example. This is H1. So I'm going to say H1, I'll say welcome. Welcome to our practical section. Welcome to our practical section. So I'm going to close the header tag here. I'm going to close the header tag. This is called header tag, and I'll save it and go and check it out how it's looking like in our web browser. So I'm going to refresh it again. Wow, look at how it's looking. Welcome to our practical section. So I'm going to use another tag so you see how it looks like. The smaller it is, the bigger it is going to be. So I'll copy this. After copying it, I will come here, place it, and then this will be H2. You see, H2 is going to be smaller than H1. So I'm going to save and then go back to our web browser and refresh it. H2 will display. You can see it. So the higher the number of the header tag, the smaller it is going to be. So ladies and gentlemen, we have built our first website from scratch. So now we can now start building our site, making it look complex. So for now, this is just a simple website that we have done so far. So in our next class, I'm going to be teaching you how to format our website. By this I mean how you can change the looks of our text, how you can how you can change the colors, how you can add HTML forms, how you can create links, how you can add images. We are going to look at all of that in our next class. So stay connected with us right here on Web Series, and don't forget to follow our page.